game. Both managers, James Horton of Mayo and Brian Cuthbert of Cork, have been speaking with Joanne Cantwell.
So James, back in Croke Park now, is this a pitch that you lads love and that you perform well in?
Yeah, look, it's a place I think everyone loves playing. So yeah, we're here in quarter final and really looking forward to it. The challenge of Cork and playing as well as we can.
Do you see all of these games now as just steps on the path to your ultimate goal?
No, we just take each game it is, and today is a big challenge for us. It really is, and we're just focused on being as good as we can today and trying to do as many things right as we can, and hopefully that'll be good enough for the game today.
Has it been difficult to properly assess Cork this year, given the nature of the season so far?
Yeah, it's been up and down for them for sure. Started off the league well and some games well, but finished them poorly. So it's hard to know what to make of them or how they'll set up or how they'll play. But we're comfortable we can deal with whatever comes our way. So that's where our focus is.
So Brian, after the Munster final, you had a few things to iron out. Are you confident that they are all ironed out?
I suppose, Joanne, the Munster final was what it was, and we've moved on since then, and we were lucky that we had the game in between, and I thought we played well enough against Sligo, and just hoping that things go right again today.
Is there more you need to get right again today? Are there more improvements?
Absolutely. Look, no disrespect to Sligo, but we're playing against a team who's been the All-Ireland finalists the last 2 years. They're a very, very experienced team. They're a very, very good team. And if we're to win, we're going to have to play somewhere near to our best, and that's the desire and that's the hope.
Where in particular do you think you need to be on top? Obviously all over the pitch, but I suppose in and around the middle section? Absolutely,
the middle eight is crucial. We got well beaten there against Kerry in the Munster final, and Mayo poses a huge problem for everybody. They play there with their size and their football, and we're just going to have to really, really concentrate on winning our own ball. And I think if we do that, if we get our hands in the ball enough, we're quite a good team, but the big thing is getting our hands in the ball.
Okay, that will happen to Cork today.
Mind you, Armagh have done that very successfully. They've moved from a man-to-man situation to a blanket defence, having been relegated in the league. But I agree with you that Cork's defensive system is so rudimentary and chaotic. Even against Sligo it was chaotic. But it's very difficult. See, if you pull back your half-forwards into the defence against Mayo, you're inviting Mayo's most dangerous line is their half-back line.
Yeah. Kieran, we heard Brian Cuthbert, the Cork manager, acknowledging there that they had difficulties around the middle of the park in the Munster final. And this is a fascinating aspect of this game because we know Mayo have these big
tactics from last year. They're trying to peak in these 3 games. Early on last year they were playing brilliantly. They've sort of scrambled this far. I think we will see a better Mayo team today.
OK, it is time then to hand to our commentators, Martin Carney, and first, Darragh Maloney.
Michael, thank you. Moran, the player to lose out at midfield. Chris Barrett pushes out to the half-back line, and Donal Vaughan now starts at midfield. Fintan Gould is a late addition to the Cork 15. He impressed when coming on in their qualifier win over Sligo. Donal O'Connett drops to the Cork bench. Here's Aidan O'Shea, starting at midfield. Owen Cadogan there with Andy Moran. That's going to be quite a tussle. We thought Cadogan might go with Cillian O'Connor. And is this the first point of the game? Ken O'Halloran saying it's wide, but it's gone over, and it's an absolute corker from Jason Doherty. That's a fabulous point. Mayo lead in the 2nd minute.
Yeah, I thought it was a wonderful score altogether. A great Connacht final, and he just takes up from where he left off that game. That was a very good score from a difficult angle.
Andy Moran out quickly. Owen Cadogan, his shadow. It's a Mayo ball. Jason Doherty has scored 1 spectacular point already. That's going to drop. Oh! Michael Shields let it go, expecting Ken O'Halloran to come out for it, but it could so easily have gone into the back of the net.
That's a wonderful instinctive save from Ken O'Halloran. Everybody left it to everyone else, and O'Halloran at the last second stuck out a right foot and prevented what looked a certain goal.
Thomas Clancy, Ian Maguire and the other sweeper, Colm O'Driscoll, have gone with him. O'Driscoll was calling for that. Gets away from Seamus O'Shea. Now possibilities for Brian Hurley of Cork, taking a fair bit out of the ball and allowing Mayo to get back at him. Chris Barrett is close to him. Hurley waiting for support. Ian Maguire didn't fancy the shot. Fintan Gould, May on his right boot. Fintan Gould, over it goes. Good point. Had the ball for a long time there, and the shot eventually came from Fintan Gould. 2 each. Cork been allowed to play their football, and Brian Hurley has scored 3 of their 4 points. Fancies another one, Hurley, and the eye is very definitely in, and that's a gorgeous point from Brian Hurley. The player who starred for Cork during the league is back, and back in style. 5-2. Michael Conroy, angle tricky, needs somebody to come towards him. Andy Moran did, the Mayo captain. Aidan O'Shea is available also. They go back to Colin Boyle. Seamus O'Shea has got free. O'Shea there with Aidan Walsh. Mark Collins trying to get on his toe, and that is a lovely point. They've got 3 in the game, and they've all been spectacular looking scores. Fintan Gould had it, lost it. Here come Mayo with Keith Higgins. Springing their step now. There's a gap for Aidan O'Shea, and Aidan O'Shea dragged down by Thomas Clancy. Is there a black card coming for Thomas Clancy? I fancy there will be. There's certainly a Mayo free, and Thomas Clancy black carded.
If there was ever a case for a black card, well, that was one, so he can't have any complaints about it.
Paul Kerrigan. Mayo have got the last 4 points. Cork got the last 4 before that. They find themselves 1 in arrears. Colm O'Neill. O'Neill put his foot right through that, and Colm O'Neill has scored. 4th time level.
O'Neill's confidence in the way he struck that is delightful.
Seamus O'Shea faced with Ian Maguire. Maguire took his hands off the referee, playing an advantage. Alan Dillon taking the shot from the 45-metre line, and another brilliant point from way out the field. 7 each, level 5 times.
Some of the shooting from distance from both sets of players has been a joy.
Colm O'Neill gets out in front of Chris Barrett. Colm O'Neill on his right boot, twisting, turning, getting away from his marker, and it's a point. Another good score.
He's played so well in very difficult circumstances at different times during the first half.
Nothing really between the sides. I suppose the only difference there is the number of wides. Mayo with 6 in that first half, Cork with 3. Joe Bradley, Kieran Whelan, Colm O'Rourke still here with us in studio. Colm, as I said, it's all very tight. It's level at half-time. It could be level at the end of this match as well, from the way it's going.
Yeah, I'd say Cork will be very happy going in now. They have steadied the ship from the league semi-final against a good team. Like the Sligo game, everybody expected them to win that. But after the humiliation by Kerry, their defensive system is working quite well. And Mayo are very cautious. They're not attacking with any great urgency at the moment. And they're getting caught at the back too. Like they've a bit of a mismatch in there. Brian Hurley and Colm O'Neill are making hay against Ger Cafferty and Chris Barrett. So I think Mayo have a bit of work to do in the dressing room at half-time. I think they have to realign their defence, realign their sweeper system. Everybody can see very clearly Cork have 2 sweepers, and they're finding it very difficult to break out with the ball. But once they get up to the 2 inside men, they're causing lots of problems. So Mayo, I think, will have to throw more caution to the wind in the second half. OK, Kieran, Colm referenced Cork's defence there. You've been looking at the way they've set up.
Yeah, well, it's kind of as we expected. We expected O'Driscoll and Collins to get back here, and here's a perfect example where O'Driscoll, you know, this, if he wasn't there, you know, Moran turns his man and he popped that over the bar, and he ends up putting a ball in, 50-50 ball into Killian O'Connor, and Cork have 5 men coming back to sweep it up. So it has been effective, and what it's done is it's forced Mayo to kick long distance scores, and they have kicked 3 or 4 very good long distance scores. Here's Collins again, just good eye, reading the game well, ball comes in and he just puts it out with his foot, and Cork are back on the front foot. The other aspect of it is, though, while Kniff is sitting back, Higgins has been left free, and this is the danger if Mayo commit more forward. Higgins gets this ball in space, and if we watch and track him, you know, this ended up with a goal chance, but nobody tracks him here, and he drifts in behind the defence. All Cork are pushing out. Now, if a ball comes into him, it's in the back of the net. Yeah. So it's the downside of playing with 2 sweepers back there. Like they don't, nobody twigs it, and he's able to pick up a ball out wide then, and Andy Moran nearly created a goal chance. So it is the downside to playing with the 2 back.
Because
if Mayo commit more forward, and which they need to do, they could do damage.
And also, a team that have only just started doing it. So I mean, it's, you know, it wasn't right what Colm said, that you can't, you know, change horses midstream. Armagh have done it very effectively. They've transformed their season. Cork have done it effectively so far, and it's dictating the game. But the big issue is Mayo's response to that, because at this stage a veteran team like that should be able to respond to this. It's a pretty rudimentary defensive system, and there are 2 things that you do. Either you then lock down their 2 inside forwards, because Cork are totally dependent on the 2 inside forwards, who have reeled off 5 points from play. If you're playing against one of the other better teams, they'll just immediately, the two spare defenders will do two things. They'll either push up on the sweepers and press them, which they haven't done. So Cork have kicked out every Cork kick out, they've won it. A short kick out almost every time. So Cork are getting possession out of their defence. They're happy with that. The other consequence of it is that Mayo's sweepers, so-called, are standing in no man's land. And Cork are just able to pop the ball in on top of the two inside forwards who are taking on their men one-on-one and scoring instead of being double marked.
Example here of how the Mayo sweeper.
He's still in possession of the football though. Up towards Andy Moore, and the bounce was difficult for him to deal with. Good pick-up though under pressure from Colm O'Driscoll. Shot from Jason Doherty, has the legs and goes over. Mayo back in front by 9-8.
Yeah, and you credit Aidan O'Shea actually initially with good work out along the sideline, giving a good ball over to Andy Moore, who won it.
Let's see exactly what happened.
Yeah, again, a good crossfield ball. It's innocuous enough from this vantage point, it must be said, but referees saw it as a cause for a free.
They've taken it quickly. Here comes Donald Vaughan, had a chance of a goal, but goes for the point with the fist and gets it. Quick thinking from Andy Moore, and something a bit different as Donald Vaughan was completely free and Cork switched off.
Cork started arguing the toss with the referee, annoyed at the fact that a free had been given. Vaughan just very cleverly got into a good attacking situation, scored a good point. Now he'll be keen to get into the game much more than he has been involved in the first half.
Early signs promising for Mayo. Brian O'Driscoll got the kick from Ken O'Halloran. Colm O'Driscoll. Alan Dillon with a heavy challenge on Colm O'Driscoll. Aidan Walsh, Ian Maguire. Mark Collins has taken up a good position to the left of Damien Cahalane, but he's gone for a harder pass and a more difficult pass to execute. Brian Hurley ran away from him. Mark Collins was free, closer to the ball carrier, but not seen. And Brian Cuthbert's team are trailing by 2.
Yes, noticeably that time Gerard Cafferty was much tighter than Brian Hurley in the race for the ball, and as a consequence it went out wide.
Colin Boyle, Alan Dillon. Dillon. Andy Moran slipped again, but Jason Doherty's there. They could be in for a goal. Andy Moran screaming for it is Killian O'Connor. There was a touch on that. It's gone over for a point. Killian O'Connor was completely free, but Mayo wanted the point. They got the point, and it's Mayo by 3 after confusion on the Cork full-back line.
Yeah, mix up that time in the Cork full-back line. Jason Doherty did very well to offload to Killian or to Andy Moore and just watch it again. And Andy gets onto his left foot, but O'Connor was clear. Andy Moore spotted him, but maybe
too casual from Brian O'Driscoll, and 3 Mayo men arrive, and Jason Doherty has robbed the ball back, and he's got a free as well. At last, a bit of involvement from the crowd. Lee Keegan, Alan Dillon. It's the Mayo crowd who are getting more involved. Dillon skips away from the challenge, and over it goes. 4 in a row for Mayo. They have arrived in this quarter-final, and they lead by 12 points to 8.
Yeah, playing some good enterprising football at the moment. It's the main source of scores, it must be said, is just the collective effort of the forward.
First point in 14 minutes for Cork. Kevin McLaughlin. Lovely turn to get away from Lockery, and well, what followed matched the skill and the speed to get away from James Lockery, which is no mean feat in itself. That's a lovely score.
Beautiful score, and that's the 5th separate score in the second.
Clearance out. Cork under all sorts of pressure. Lee Keegan, Kevin McLaughlin. Now it's Andy Moran trying his luck. There's no pressure on Moran, and that is just shooting practice. They're inviting them to shoot from way out the field. This wasn't even that far out. 14-9, Cork in bother.
They're in bother, and Mayo are way more composed at the moment. They're bringing an energy and an economy to what they're doing that wasn't there in the first half. To be somewhat worried by the fact, I think, that Aidan O'Shea is down injured.
Second half, Chris Barrett using the width of the pitch. Aidan O'Shea with Owen Cadigan. He won that physical battle. Mayo, a much more powerful team than Cork. Aidan O'Shea sends that in for Killian O'Connor. O'Connor, a wonderful skill from Killian O'Connor. Alan Dillon now. That end of Arley free, and Dillon almost at walking pace slots it over, and this Cork defensive system is shutting down, and it's been torn apart by Mayo, scoring almost. Have all been from play. Cork's sole point came from a free, and Cillian O'Connor has put that one over the bar, and Mayo, Colm O'Neill. Brian Hurley is in closest to goal. Tom Caniff just holding his ground. Now Aidan Walsh of Cork. Fintan Gould, there's a bit of a gap there for Gould. Need a score. They have a score. Second of the second half. Still a long way. Donnacha O'Connor is there with him now. James Lockery. Donnacha O'Connor. They're on a bit of a roll. 2 in a row, and Donnacha O'Connor makes his mark to close the gap to 5.
Yeah, the experience of Donnacha O'Connor is so vital at the moment. Good free in is the correct decision.
And Donnacha O'Connor puts that over, and you could
Soft enough one.
Donnacha O'Connor again. He's got 3 out of their last 4. Kelly for Cork. Players forward. Here's Ian Maguire. Maguire gets through. Maguire! Kennedy stopped it! And the referee has given a free out. Aidan O'Shea got it back, and the ball turned over. And here they come. James Lockery. Aidan Walsh. Walsh thought about the shot. Lockery with Donnacha O'Connor in front of him. And now Donnacha O'Connor for Cork. O'Connor is through! Goal! They're level! And what a time to get your first goal of the 2014 championship. They've come from nowhere. They looked dead and buried about 10-12 minutes ago. Cork are back in business, and Mayo in bother. It's level.
They've been rumbling, it's been coming. Darby said it a few moments ago. Mayo wilting throughout the pitch, the energy levels are gone, and Donnacha O'Connor at that time fires a wonderful goal, the first championship goal of the season for Cork, but they fully deserve that on the basis of the way they've played over the last 10 minutes or so.
After the football chess of the first half, this has really come to life, and now we're going to see what Mayo are made of. Aidan O'Shea, Damien Cahalane by Alan Freeman. Will he head off with a smile on his face or a frown? 7 times we've been level. Cillian O'Connor. Oh, that is absolutely superb. Massive pressure on him, massive pressure.
Opportunity.
12 wides for Mayo. Paddy Kelly under pressure from Alan Freeman, and this is what the Mayo forwards do so well. What a vital time to do it. Here's Donal Vaughan, and a bad wide earlier on. Aidan O'Shea is through. O'Shea wants it on his left side, taking an eternity. Aidan O'Shea! What a goal from Aidan O'Shea, the calmest man in Croke Park. They have woken from their slumber. 4 minutes to go, they lead by 4.
That's classy, Aidan. That is classy boy, right at the bitter end. And the time I thought he was tiring, held his nerve, kept his composure. Fabulous goal. But credit Alan Freeman of winning the kick out. After having an awful miss, he certainly atoned for his mistake.
The pressure that Mayo forwards put on led to that goal, but an outrageous skill from Aidan O'Shea. Here's the Cork reply. They need a goal of their own. They've got one! They've got one! It's not over. It's Brian Hurley with their second goal in 5 minutes.
That is wonderful from Brian Hurley. Takes all key thickness, loses his balance, but Jerk Catholic a little bit slow in getting over to him. Bodies are tiring, but Hurley certainly isn't tiring. That's a wonderful shot to the roof of the net. This is a great response from Cork.
I don't want this to end. Cork 2-13, but Mayo with 1:17 and leading by 1. Donal Vaughan wins the Mayo kick-out. Here's Colin Boyle. Fouled. Under 3 minutes to go, plus added time. Here's Alan Dillon, he's still on, he's still going, shooting. Put it wide though.
Yeah, could have taken a little bit more out of that, I think, just run on with it, but so many players at the moment are wilting. But Cork's spirit was manifest, and certainly after the debacle of the Connacht, or of the Munster final, must be said, they have certainly restored the reputation.
Here comes Owen Cadigan for Cork. Another twist in the tail, perhaps. They're a point behind. Good defending from Keith Higgins. And Higgins charges out, and here's Tom Caniff. Mayo want to make a substitution. Jason Doherty has got through a serious amount of work. Tom Caniff to Alan Dillon. Looking for players, teammates in better positions. Has to go back. Kevin McLaughlin. The board to tell us how much is to be added on will be interesting. Here's Colin Boyle. They've kept it well, have Mayo. Seamus O'Shea. Donald Vaughan. Well, the reaction of the crowd will tell you all you need to know, and I think that one has gone over. Yes, indeed it has. Had a bad miss earlier on with an attempt off the boot, and Mayo now lead by 2, 118-213.
Well, Vaughan's energy was manifest there.
Mayo have done that so well, legally ripping the ball out of the hands of Cork's Paddy Kelly. Well, nothing is safe, nothing is certain, but here they come. Jason Gibbons has got in around the back. Lee Keegan, they'll take the point, and they've got it from Lee Keegan. What a response from Mayo to the shock of those 2 quick goals, and they thought after Aidan O'Shea's that it was done. There was another Cork one after that, but they've been calm and composed, and they've done this. Michael Shields, will be 2 minutes to be added on. Plenty of time to get a goal, I suppose, if you're a Cork man. Colm O'Neill and Ger Cafferty, and that is a free in. It's a free in. Free in Cork coming, and Ger Cafferty just taking or trying to frustrate the Cork man who wanted the ball back. Donnacha O'Connor, point. Well, it's not any good really at this stage, but can they work something off this with less than 90 seconds to go? Fancy the way Colm O'Neill is lining up to do this. He's just going to try and chip it over. They'll try and win the ball then from the kick out and get the goal they need. Or will he drill it and hope something happens? No, he's gone for the point. Back to within 2. So now this kick out from Robbie Hennelly, absolutely vital.
How many minutes did he say there?
2.
Two?
2, and it's gone right down towards Jason Gibbons. Gibbons couldn't hang on to it. Cork have it with Donnacha O'Connor. This is it for Cork. Damien Cahalane. Inside the last half minute, Damien Cahalane. O'Neill and Hurley in close to goal. Good work from Damien Cahalane, weaving, jinking one way and then the other. They've got to get a goal, Cork. Colm O'Neill. Now James Lockery, Paul Kerrigan dragged down, but it's just outside. It'll be a free in, and they've got to go for a goal or try and work something off the free.
This has to be it. They have to go for a goal this time. He's just outside just outside the large rectangle. Lee Keegan give away the free that time. But that was desperation. They have to go for the goal. No other thing, no other way.
Well, the 2 minutes are gone. And Colm O'Neill, well, decides to put it over. So back to within 1. Okay.
Well, the 72 and a half gone now. I'd say he'll blow for the final whistle as soon as the kick-out comes.
I wonder, maybe he checked with the referee Cormac Riley, would there be one more play? It was tough for them to get the ball back on the last kick out from Hennelly. They've got to do it again. Mayo leading by a point. Alan Dillon has gone off. Michael Conroy replaces him, and there it is, it's over. And Mayo will play Kerry in the All-Ireland football semi-final. There was no more time for Cork, and you see the referee now surrounded by 5 Cork players clarifying what was going on with the time. I wonder, did the referee give some kind of an indication to Colm O'Neill that there would be one more play left? There certainly wasn't. O'Neill put the ball over the bar when they needed to try and work a goal. One or two of the Cork players been dragged away from the referee. Still they protest, but it ain't going to change the result. Cork are gone, pride restored, etc., but Mayo are through.
They're irate. I don't know what went on with Colm O'Neill or the Cork forwards before that last free kick, but there's no doubt about it. I think the Cork players were under the impression maybe that there was another minute to go, but it was 2 minutes officially that we were told was the time to be added on. When the referee blew the whistle, it was nearly in the 3rd minute of overtime. But maybe they were misled by whatever happened, but Mayo just about got over the line there, must be said.
There in the end, Colm, by the single point, did they deserve it?
Yeah, I think they were the better team over the game. I think they had won the game about 3 times in the second half. And it looked at, after 15 minutes of the second half, they had, I think, scored 7 points from play against a free from Colm O'Neill, that they were going to be easy winners. They had pushed up, they disrupted the Cork kick out, and they started to win a lot of possession. And it looked as if, at that stage, Cork were lying down, similar to the Munster final. And in fairness to them, inspired by Colm O'Neill and Brian Hurley, they really took the game to Mayo, and they gave them the fright of their lives and came back twice with 2 great goals. But Mayo were seasoned, and the free from, I think, Cillian O'Connor at a vital time when the sides were level, and of course a brilliant goal by Aidan O'Shea, who had a really towering second half performance.
He's a brilliant player, Aidan O'Shea. I mean, he really is a brilliant killer in a different era. You know, the Dubs ran him into the ground last year, and that's the only downside, is the lack of sprint pace. Yeah. But he is truly a brilliant Gaelic footballer. Like.
Kieran, the view is that Mayo deserved to win that, but there was, as I said, just a point in it. Yeah. And we're interested in what happened there right at the end, because Cork had a free, took the point, the play is blown up with the next play out, and Cork, obviously, they must have been... Yeah, well, got the impression they had time to get another score.
You would think that there was communication with the referee, because nowadays you don't get over the injury time. They clearly go up to talk to him. He looks at his watch. He communicates with them. We don't know what he said, but Colm O'Neill obviously pops the ball over the bar, and then afterwards they're remonstrating with him. So you know, we don't know. We don't know what Cormac Riley said. If he said there was another play, then rightly so, they have a case, because you would think, if it was the last kick of the game, he has to have a go at goal. You know, has to have a go at goal. But like, I agree with the lads. I think Mayo had the game won when they went 7 points up. But I think they showed huge mental resolve to concede 2 goals. That was the risk they took when they pushed up. They conceded 2 goals.
Well, here we say that. As we said, Colm, we're only speculating on what actually might have been said or not said between the referee and the player. But clearly, Cork had some issues afterwards.
Well, Kieran O'Sullivan had run, who was aware for had run into the referee before the free was taken. Yes. So obviously the referee gave him some indication, which he passed on to Colm O'Neill. Again, but there was 2.5 minutes of extra time gone. The extra time that was being played was 2 minutes, so the referee was quite within his rights to blow the game up at that stage. But if he said to Colm O'Neill, you know, you must go for a goal, or the game is over with the kick out. It would have taken a wonder strike to hit the back of the net as well. A lot of bodies back.
Yeah,
the game was again.
Michael Meehan did it last year.
He did. Yeah, it's like
one of those ghosts.
The game was again a classic illustration of why Mayo haven't won the All Ireland yet. That Achilles heel, at critical times, whenever they're in charge of a game. I mean, they were 6 points up. You now hold them at arm's length. You control the game now. You hold that lead. With Mayo, it never happens. They conceded 2 awful goals, I mean, by any standards, from a team who have ambitions, higher ambitions, which they have, and who had put themselves into a winning position. 2 goals against the run of play like that, and particularly on the first occasion.
That's what we're saying at half time. Yeah. If they pushed up, you were running the risk of conceding goals.
No, but they neither did one or the other.
Well, Colm Boyle did push up, and he was trying to drift. He was trying to drift back when he could, but they did leave the boys inside, and that's the danger. That's the danger. They pushed up. They were very conservative.
Decided to kick it over the bar. Might you be able to explain why he did that?
Simply because he was told there was more time left. Obviously, when you're 2 points down, you're told time is up. You have to go for a goal, but he felt we might have had a chance to win the kick out and going again. It didn't transpire to be that way.
Did he have a discussion with the referee?
As far as I'm aware, Joanne, I haven't spoken to him properly yet, but that's what I'm aware anyway. Yeah.
Is there a chance there was miscommunication? There were a lot of people around there?
Something like that, maybe. I don't know. Look, the match is over now. We're after losing. There's nothing we can do about it. I'm just immensely proud of my players. I thought they were outstanding today. To be down 7 points against Mayo and come back and the game in the melting pot at the end, I'm just immensely proud of them and really delighted that they showed character.
James, since the match ended, you've been talking about not being overly happy with the performance. What in particular is it that concerns you?
Well, obviously the soft goals we gave away, are a concern. But so we need to look at that. I think for one of them, that guys pretty much went straight through the field without being tackled. So that's something we need to watch. So we'll work hard on that and see where it takes us. But we're delighted to get through that game today and win it by a point, and we'll take it and run.
All right, well, we'll look at the timekeeping issue in a moment, but Martin McHugh, you were there. Deserved win for Mayo?
Yeah, it was. Mayo were the better side, but they still played poorly. Did a lot of stupid things the first half, kicking a ball into a full forward line with sweepers in front and 2 men on one. The other thing, from Cork's point of view, is interesting when they got rid of the sweeper, which people in Cork don't like, the Cork teams playing the sweeper, they could have went on to win the match. But there'll be people saying now, from a Cork point of view, they should have maybe forgot about a sweeper, on for the game, and they might have won the game. From Mayo's point of view, they'd be happy enough. Times Mayo in quarter-finals like last year, they blew Donegal away, and they were up at that level. Today they were at the levels at certain times, so I think it's better for Mayo going forward.
Just on the Cork thing before we move on, there was a lot of criticism of Cork, including in this programme, that you can't change your tactics and pull fellas back and all. In fairness to Cork, didn't it work for Brian Cuthbert by and large? It was a huge improvement on...
It was an improvement, but...
Not a huge improvement?
Not a huge improvement, no. I wouldn't have thought so. Okay. I mean, there was large tranches of the game where they weren't very effective. Yeah. At one stage, Mayo was it 16-9 up, 7 up early in the second half, and the game was nearly busted. Now, to their eternal credit, they kept at it. But I personally don't like the idea of changing systems mid-season. It takes
I know you don't like it, but I mean...
Well, it takes such a long time, Des, to get used to a defensive setup because responsibility is diluted. You don't actually know who's picking up space or who's picking up players, and in between then a lot of looseness gets into your play. It's not easy.
OK, then well, let's get to that timekeeping issue then, because obviously it was a huge factor. You've been looking at the 2 minutes out of time.
Yeah, Dermot and myself had a look at it afterwards. The first thing to say is there was 2 minutes officially announced, and it went to almost just short of 3 minutes in the end. During that 2 minutes, the formal 2 minutes, if you want to call it that, there was no injuries or no serious deliberate time wasted. But there were 2 frees, both Cork frees. One of them took 30 seconds to execute, and the other one 40 seconds to execute. So a little bit, the second free, a little bit on the long side, and you can point the finger at 1 or 2 Mayo players who didn't clear the way very quickly. We'll never know what was said. So that's the first thing.
It all comes down to what was said,
yeah,
really.
Because there was no... he was certainly within his rights to blow the whistle at 72:51 because a time was up. But if he did say, well, there's an extra minute... But can I say one thing? All referees would be encouraged never to say this is the last kick of the game. So I am pretty sure that was not said. But did he say there was another play in it? I can't say.
Yeah, certainly...
But there certainly was something said.
Something was said for that level of anger, yeah.
When you see, and it's the major players that were involved there, it's Hurley, it's O'Neill and Kieran O'Sullivan, who was actually on the site. And you can also see him talk to the referee and ask him. So something was said, but we won't ever know what was said.
Mayo had the same situation last year's All-Ireland final. The exact same. Killian O'Connor kicked the ball over the bar thinking they were going to get a chance. I think, it's interesting, it's always 2 minutes. Seems to be, there's no 4 minutes or 5 minutes anymore.
Is it time to take the
definitely
away
is, from the rest? It's time to just take it away of referees. They have enough to do it in the field and give it somebody else. So no referee has control of it then.
But I do think, and Kevin made the point as well, I mean, when you add those 2 frees, there was almost 1 minute and 15 wasted from the time of each free to the actual time it went over the bar. At that particular, of the almost 3 minutes that were added on, so there's an element there. Cork might.
The biggest thing is the goalkeeper coming up to take the frees, how long it takes. That's someone they're going to.
Yeah, but they should have just kicked them straight over.
Well, that wasn't a factor today. So if the timekeeping was taken away from the referees, the referee today had enough other big decisions to make.
He had a busy day.
There's only a point in it at the end.
And when there's a point in it, everything then is crucial. So the first one I want to have a look at is Ian Maguire when he powers through and makes a great effort and super save by Rob Henley. And the question here is, did Aidan O'Shea handle it on the ground? Was he inside a small square? Well, it doesn't matter because he's fouled by Ian Maguire and the referee clearly indicates a free out. He's pushed in the back and that's what puts him to the ground. I don't think there can be any question about that. I think other than that, you're looking at the fringes of it. Now this one, fantastic inside ball to Colm O'Neill. He turns Ger Cafferty. How this is not a free-in, and let me emphasise a free-in because, as we'll show, a lot of people thought it might be a penalty, but certainly a card of some colour, which never comes. So it's not a penalty, but it's all day it's a foul, and it's an easy foul for Cormac Riley to give. There it is. He's tackling on his right foot. Ger Cafferty, you can't tackle with your foot anyway. And Colm O'Neill has to get that free in. Doesn't get it. Tough call.
Yeah, Mayo only won by a point in the end. It's a big call.
Okay. Now, half-time, very tight. Third quarter, people say it's often the key part of the game.
Yeah.
Mayo came out and were superb.
Championship quarter, and I'd say there were strong words in the dressing room. There had to be, because Mayo's season was on the line. And they opened up superbly well. In fact, we're going to show them getting it to 4 points, but very quickly they got it to 7 points. A very nice point from Jason Darby. But I want to make this point, Des. Donald Vaughan elects to put this over the bar. But there's a 3-point dividend here if he gives it with his right-hand pass or if he goes left-hand pass straight across. And that ball has to be given. It's not. They opt for the safe route. And this is the ruthlessness I think Joe Brolly was talking about earlier on today on the live show. Poor play by Owen Cadigan here. Great play by Jason Doherty. Slips it inside. Andy Moran has to give that ball to Cillian O'Connor with his left-hand pass. Slip it in, fast ball, and he walked it into an empty net. He doesn't do it, but he gets the point. And fans will say, oh, that's great. Oh, we got a score. But they're 3-pointers. Instead of being leading by 4, you should be leading by 8. And that now puts the game beyond doubt. And these are the areas that Mayo, and they're a team that practice deliberately and very frequently about creating scoring chances. Right. But the end product is, you can create all you like, you must finish them. And that's a big challenge for them as they come now into the serious, the semi-final and beyond, if they're to go beyond.
OK, now, Cork, the bench worked well for them, some substitutions, very impressive. But you loved the Donegal O'Connor show.
Absolutely. I mean, he came on in the 58th minute, and just before that, Fintan Gould got a point to actually make it 16-10. So there were 6 points down. And straight away, you know, you see him come in here, looping around like a forward, like we saw him do in the last number of years, and kicking an inspirational point to get the comeback going. Now, I know he kicked a couple of frees there, he's very accurate, but he also showed leadership. And we criticised this Cork team because in the past, they don't have leaders because they've all retired. That's been one of the criticisms. But in he comes after a fella that's not playing much football during the year, to have that finish, to take it like that, and you know, the intensity that he showed. You know, after 10 minutes, that was a draw match. Now, I know Colm O'Neill scored 5 points, Brian Hurley scored 1-4, but for me, he was very, very influential for Cork over a 10-minute period. And not only that, he came on for Mark Collins, who was playing that sweeper role, you know, going back, helping out. He came on, they actually changed tactic, as we talked about. So they went defensive, and then they realised this isn't working, we need to do something. They take off Collins, put on Donegal O'Connor. It's a draw game with 8 minutes to go.
The cause problem for the Mayo full back line, so I think someone Mayo's going to look at it as their full back line.
But credit Mayo as well, because again they needed the cool heads, maybe their experience at that stage.
Yeah, the difference, a bit of experience, and the ability to win ball in the middle of the field is very important for Mayo. They've got, you know, the 2 big men in the middle of the field, and then they've Aidan O'Shea for. See it here, Kildare be doing with this free taker. Cillian O'Connor able to kick it off his foot on the other side. Donald Vaughan, midfield, took him a while to settle into midfield today. Great catch above his head. Poor first half, but he had a very good second. I'm seeing him here again going forward. This is the 2 midfielder centre half forward up the middle. And this is brilliant. This is what we're chatting about. Kevin was on about early on. Getting that chance. Take that chance of goal. Like, normally we'll finish the game. He could have put that ball over the bar, sold the dummy to the keeper. The right way to go past the goalie, maybe Kildare as well, might be doing with them as well. We'll just see Donald Vaughan then getting forward kick. So with the way teams play with defences is important. See this here, Lee Keegan, who scored 117 in 17 championship games he scored. Dermot's just after telling me that. And I just think, you know, that just sums it up. Your scores have to come from your half-back line, your midfield. You have to get in scores in there because your forward line with sweepers and everything else has been tied down. So give a lot of credit to Mayo, the way dug deep at times when they needed it. They showed that today, and I think they can carry that forward later on.
OK, then let's name our man of the match from this afternoon. Dermot, you've the nominees.
Yeah, we have a number of nominees. We first looked at Aidan O'Shea, immense throughout the game, and then, of course, got that goal at a very vital time. The second person we looked at was Donald Vaughan, again influential at midfield and 2 points close to the end. And the third person was Seamus O'Shea, constantly winning kickouts, 2 points from play, helping out in attack, defence, and of course at midfield as well.
All right, 2 O'Sheas, 1 Vaughan. Who gets it?
I think when you're looking for leaders, important, when there were 5 points to 2 down, Seamus O'Shea kicked 2 points from play. He made another score for him. That was an important stage. He showed great quality all through the game when Mayo needed him. So Seamus O'Shea is our man of the match.
All right then, congrats to Seamus then. Let's hear what he had to say afterwards.
Seamus, well done on being the Super Value RT man of the match. Everybody knew that the midfield sector was going to be so vital today. How good does it feel that you're on top, and how much do you think you're on top throughout the day?
I don't know, were we on top throughout the day? It seemed very close there at times. They had periods of dominance, and so did we. It was over and back. We played poorly in the first half, and then I think we upped it a bit for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the second half. And the French team, they came back at us and made it very tight towards the end. But look, we're just delighted to get over the line and move on to the next stage. We look forward to, we'll go back to training Tuesday or Wednesday, and we look forward to a few weeks' time.
Well, you can look forward to a piece of crystal now, because you are the Super Value RT man at match, and John Cummins from Super Value is here with your word.
Thanks very much. Appreciate it. Congratulations.